Hello and welcome to Hamer Reviews. My name is Christopher Hamer and today I'd like to talk to you about mini LED panel lights. We've all been spending a bit more time at home recently, and for those of us that have been lucky enough to work from home, that means conference calls and video calls. You probably have found that a lot of the time people look terrible on video conference calls. The reason for that is bad lighting. Now, when I record my videos here, I actually have two huge softboxes with massive LED lights behind them, which gives me nice soft light. And in an ideal world, this is what we'd all use when conducting our conference calls. However, they're massive, they take up a lot of room, and it's not really realistic, not to mention that they're crazily expensive. But this little LED panel light is enough to make you look so much better on your conference calls, or indeed just if you're recording video and haven't had access to lighting before. In fact, this is my most used light. I use it every day I'm working just to give myself a little bit of a boost in terms of lighting, and it makes me look a lot more professional because I'm a lot clearer. If you're using a virtual background, for instance on Zoom, you'll also find that this will help create more definition on you, which makes it easier for the computer to cut you out and fade out the background. So this LED light is actually made by a company called Sakani. They're a sort of random, I think, Chinese manufacturer, but there's a whole load of companies that make these, and they cost between £20 and £40. You can also buy them from well-known manufacturers such as Aperture that make professional grade lighting equipment. However, they do charge a lot more, but they provide more features, so that's up to you. What you'll usually get is an LED panel light like this, and usually a diffuser card as well. This one attaches magnetically, which means it's much easier not to lose it, which is good. I use it in conjunction with a Joby mini tripod. This is actually a mini phone tripod. Joby is actually owned by the same company as Manfrotto, so it is very good quality. It works perfectly, it has a mini ball head on the top, and it's a lot cheaper than the Manfrotto alternative. So what I thought I'd do is demonstrate how powerful this light is. So I'm just going to turn off my LED lights, and then I'll come back to you with just a little bit of light from a window. So as you can see, things have got a lot darker. So let me turn on this LED light. Now, if I hold it at roughly where you're going to want it, which is eye level in front of you to the side, you can see that I'm actually being lit up quite well. Now, I realise that the image around me is still quite dark. However, I have this camera set up at ISO 200 with quite a small aperture in order to give me a little bit more depth of field. So as a result, I am a little bit darker than you'd want. However, if I turn on my secondary light, so not my key light, the main light which is in front of me, but the one sort of lights up this area, I think you're going to see that this light actually makes much more of a difference than you'd think. So now I've turned on one of the big LED panel lights. It's not my key light because I'd like to use this LED light as the key light. So if I turn this on, immediately I've got actually really nice balanced lighting. This isn't perfect as a key light, and I'm having to hold it sort of at eye level in order to make sure that my face is lit up as much as possible. However, I think if you're in a video conference call scenario, hopefully there's a little bit more light around you. This is going to be perfect for those little webcams that you would usually be recording those videos with. They're more sensitive to light than the settings I have set on my mirrorless camera, and you're going to find you look fantastic. And here's some footage of me now in a conference call, just to give you an idea of what that looks like. So the first part we have here is without any lighting, and as you can see, it's pretty bad. You can see the blue virtual background that I usually use. And now we're on to the part where I'm using the LED light. And as you can see, I'm lit really well, and it's much clearer as to, where the definition is, and the fact that the camera isn't having to go to such a high ISO means the image is much more balanced as well. Let's go back to the studio. Obviously, a big softbox with LEDs, big LED lights behind it, is ideal. But the fact of the matter is, I think you'll agree that this tiny panel light made a huge difference in the quality of that video conference call. And that's why I think these are brilliant. The battery lasts for a couple of hours, which means if you don't keep it plugged in all the time, it's actually enough to get you through a couple of calls. And you can also find ones with larger batteries that will go on for much longer. You can also find larger LED panel lights, and by all means, do feel free to use those instead. In the UK, I actually use a company called Releno, it's another Chinese manufacturer, but they have a panel light that's a little bit larger, about that size, and it gives the most fantastic light. You can even change the color temperature to match the light around you. So for instance, if you have incandescent lights in your room that you're recording in or doing a video conference call from, you can actually match that light color, which will give you a much more even lighting than this, which is fixed at daylight. All things to consider. However, I think this is one of the best ways to improve your video recording, and maybe this will help you just look that bit better on your next conference call. Thank you very much for watching. If you have any questions or comments, pop them in the comment section below. Equally, give this video a thumbs up, and if you haven't already, please do subscribe. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you again next time. Goodbye.